of APC received 1542,4921 votes. 1542,4921 votes. 15,424,921 votes. That Muhammadu Buhari of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Well, at about 3:45 a.m. on Wednesday, April 1st, 2015, the chairman of Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission and chief returning officer of Nigeria's presidential election returned the All Progressive Congress candidate, retired General Muhammadu Buhari, as Nigeria's president-elect. According to the chairman, the two candidates had fulfilled the requirements of the law, and that's Section 134 of Nigeria's constitution. That law specifies that whoever becomes president must satisfy a national spread of votes scored. General Muhammadu Buhari scored at least 25% of votes in 27 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. While the incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, scored at least 25% in 26 states. And so, Nigeria has a new president, General Muhammadu Buhari. Well, hello and welcome. This is 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetomobi. Thank you for joining me on the program today. My host today says that General Muhammadu Buhari's victory at the polls in Nigeria's presidential election was the best birthday present ever. In fact, on the day of the announcement, he turned 60. And that's why I've chosen to speak with him today. In the run-up to the elections, he has spoken with most of the candidates from both of the leading parties, the APC and the PDP. So I thought it would be interesting to get his take on the elections, the projections, and of course, the results that we have now. So, join me after the break. I count down 60 minutes with Jimi Disu, a broadcaster, and I like to call him a syndicated journalist. Welcome back. Welcome, Mr. Disu. Thank you very much for coming on the program. But before we go on, we went on the streets to speak with a couple of Nigerians to get their feel, you know, about these elections. So we'll take those reports now, listen to a cross-section of Nigerians from across all the states.
The syndicated.
Syndicated, yeah. Join us again after the break.
From the look of things, it seems General Buhari will emerge the winner, because from the results that have been announced so far, the gap is a very long one. And from the challenges of what we have seen in the present government, we're trying to see what could result from a new operations in the government affairs generally. It seems Nigerians want a kind of change that will lead to a positive operations in the Nigerian government. Most of the time when you look at what is happening, most that has to do with security failures. Chibok girls have been kidnapped, there's no traces whatsoever. Every means to reach them have not been proven positive. Men, soldiers, a lot of things have been going contrary to the general masses' opinion. And even in the Nigerian West African security ethics, they have been asking serious questions about the whereabouts of these Chibok girls. So that thing alone is a slap to this present government. I'm not a politician, but I'm saying my mind as it is, because we ought to go deeper and see what is happening. It's beyond politics. It's beyond a one-man business. It's something that we should put heads together and see that the matter is being taken care of properly.
Right about now, I learned that they've counted 19 states, and I'm aware that APC are leading right now. I would say let the best man wins. What I'm really concerned about is the situation of the country, that there should be peace and everybody should live in one accord. Whomsoever comes, be it Jonathan, be it Buhari, what we want is peace. What the electorate want is peace. What we want is development in the country. What we want is everything to work together as one. So, in all, I would say let the best man win.
I vote for APC. I want to make things change. That's why I vote for APC. Because Jonathan don't try his own best. So make another person enter.
I believe Buhari should win because the present government have proved to us that they are a failure. If they are not a failure, you should surprise. Why don't Mr. President at the moment started sharing money, giving people all sorts of money? If he used the money to work for the country, you should remember that the first time we vote for him, he did not bought anybody pure water in this country. We vote for him because of love. After all, that so-called PDP Nigerians are tired. We vote for that guy because he's young and we believe he can do it. But he has proved to us now that he can't do it. That is why I believe that Buhari should win this time around.
From the reports we're getting so far, I think it's fallen in place for Buhari. I can't really say Buhari will win, but it's looking more like he's going to win. Well, he has done his own bit, per se, in time past. But for me, I think I still like Jonathan to an extent, based on one or two things that he has done in time past. I'm not so conversant with Buhari, so I can't really say much about Buhari.
To my mind, as I'm speaking right now, I want the election to be won by Buhari. Let Buhari win the election, because in this country we need changes. Because earlier, since on January, I've been saying it that if I were Jonathan, I would resign because of this Boko Haram issue. Because every day, ever since the Jonathan regime, there's a trouble and problem in this country. Buhari couldn't have been contesting election with him right now. Because why? When Jonathan win that election, Buhari make a statement that he's going to make that regime unbearable for him. If I was Jonathan, Buhari could have been in jail right now. But since he couldn't be able to act as a president, let Buhari take over.
Well, in my own view, I can see that maybe the APC candidate, Buhari and Oshibajo. Well, the reason is that we have Oshibajo, and he's a man of God, and I believe that God will speak to him, concerning the nation. Buhari also, when we look at the record, according to what I'm hearing, he's not a corrupt man. He's a very honest man. So, two of them, by the grace of God, I believe that God can make a change through them.
My thought, I want Jonathan to win. Me, I didn't support Buhari. I want Jonathan to go second chance because I know what Jonathan has done in this country. And that's why I like Jonathan to win this election. Me, I don't want change. I still want Jonathan. I don't want change. I want Jonathan to continue for second time.
I think General Buhari will win. Well, it's not about where I'm from, it's about the state of the people of the nation. PDP, they've not been doing so well with the people. We all need a change. That's just the truth. We are tired of the corruption, injustice, and everything. We need a change. And I think Buhari, if he has got trustworthy people around him, I'm sure he can do that.
As we've seen, so far so good. With the results released by INEC so far, I think everything is in Buhari's favor. And hopefully, I think the masses have voted and they've picked their choice, which is General Muhammad Buhari. I'm a good Nigerian, as much as I want things to be better, good lights, good roads. And let me say, maybe we are all desperate for a change. So I think I already passed my message.
Welcome back. Now, Mr. Disu, when Professor Jega was making that announcement, my mind went back to 2011. And, I thought of the battle of the PDP in this election. And I thought they didn't try this hard in 2011, you know, to sell the candidacy of Goodluck Jonathan. He was indeed a breath of fresh air. And I can't help but think that perhaps going into the election, he had maybe the wrong team to fight that election. Look at the people around him.
Who had the wrong team now?
Goodluck Jonathan.
Oh, I see. You don't think the party had the wrong candidate? The party had the wrong candidate. When they got a victory in 2011, most people hadn't known him. And the circumstances that brought him up was such that everybody decided to support him.
He looked like he was being cheated.
It looked like he was being cheated. He hadn't had a grip, we thought, because he had just moved from being vice. He'd never really been tested. He wasn't really tested as a deputy governor. He didn't have anything to do under Alame's here. And then he became governor. He didn't last long. And then vice president again, not much to do. And so they'd had just about 2 years, and everybody thought, well, maybe when he settles down and so on. And even he was a bit more careful. So when the now came up in 2011, it was based on that sentiment and, you know, some silly thing about him bringing good luck to Nigerians. That's part of what religion has done to us. But it's a story for another day. Where, you know, the religion has taken away a bit of the thinking of our people. But we'll get back to that in some other day. And so that's how he won. He didn't win on the fact that people thought maybe he was capable.
He had done something great.
He had done something great. No, it was on promises.
Okay, but, you know, let me stop you there. Because, yes, it is true that he probably never had the ambition to get to where he got to. He'd been pushed on, and what they do say that to whom much is given, much is expected. So why didn't he step up to the plate?
To whom much is given, much is expected.
Yes.
But you can only give what you have. If you make me your security man here with the work that I do, and you tell me to start off from 12 midnight to 6 in the morning, you'd have made the biggest mistake. I'm not a security person. I don't even have the physical strength. One small wind would blow me away, right? So I think that to whom much is given, yes, much is expected, but the man didn't have the intellect and capability to do the job. I said it many times. That's not bad in itself, because not everybody, if I don't even have the capability of being a president, you know, as articulate as I am, because it's one thing to be articulate, it's another thing for you to have. Leadership is not something you pick off the shelf.
Can't you surround yourself with people?
You need to be capable to surround yourself with people. You're not going to do everything by yourself. That's the whole idea. Your capability lies in being able to surround yourself with people that are going to help you do the job. You can't do it by yourself. So you have to be capable to know who to pick. He was giving out appointments like candy in appreciation for, I can tell you 1 or 2 appointments that he made that baffled everybody.
Which are?
For example, you appointed Obane Koro, a Minister of External Affairs, is not well spoken. That in itself is not bad, but if a man is not well spoken, it's not well spoken. He doesn't have that finesse that goes with that job.
The diplomacy.
The diplomacy that goes. I remember when he was ambassador in Ghana, we won Nigeria's independence ceremony. Everybody came well kitted and so on. You know, you can't even go for. He wore a kaftan and slippers and a cap.
I mean, that's not traditional wear.
Definitely not. What is expected is he's supposed to wear something like what you call #1 dressing, complete agbada with a cap and shoes. This is President Jonathan, unfortunately, just doesn't have what it is to be president. And he had the attitude of giving out appointments as favors for people in reward. And the third thing that he did is he protected his appointees to the last.
But, you know, it can be a good thing to be loyal. It's not it's not a bad thing to be loyal.
It's not a bad thing to be loyal, but you should be loyal to your nation, not to the guy who's not doing the job or somebody who's compromised himself. I give you an example. You have a Minister for Internal Affairs. You want to conduct interviews for people and a lot of kids die in the process. The least you could do is take him out. But in any case,
even if he's still in the villa with you, but
no, you should take, look, you have kids who have died. Actually, he should have been charged for negligence. If the courts want to free him, fine. He should have been charged for negligence because he took up a lot of the role himself. In any case, in any decent crime at all, the man would have resigned on his own long before he got, you know.
That's the Interior Minister now.
That's the Interior Minister, but he didn't, and you allowed him. The same thing with the issue of the Minister of Aviation. Of all the things that she did, the worst of it being buying 2 cars at X amount, you know. And as we speak, the EFCC tell you that under Jonathan, I tell you, they're still investigating it. The least you can do is let them be charged to court and then go sort themselves out.
Yes.
People know how to do such things. So you absolve yourself of that liability. Yes. But he carried all the liabilities along, the worst of it all again being his spouse. A man who cannot control his spouse is asking for trouble.
No, but you see, when people say that sort of thing, you know, it really baffles me. If you've told her inside the house that, look, you know, stop this, but she gets on the podium, she's goaded on by, you see all those women standing with her on the podium, Angela, former ministers.
If that woman was my wife and I told her and she doesn't listen, I'll put her under guard. I'm the president. She's just a first lady by virtue of my position. It's not constitutional. It's ceremonial.
You think that
when I say under guard, I don't mean lock her in.
Yes.
No. I mean she wants the ways. Obasanjo knows how to do these things. People who don't know what to do. Even in our own domestic environment, your husband can put you on lockdown. Yeah. Without you knowing it. I mean, we have skills by which we have.
You don't want to share with us.
But talking seriously, yes. I mean, he condoned so much from everybody around him. His associates, his the so-called militants and so on and so forth. He allowed them go riot around him. Every man, as a man, must be in control of his immediate environment.
Do you think he wasn't?
Of course he wasn't.
You think that?
You see, because the
people in the party around him, you think they were loyal to him?
No, I think they took advantage of the fact that he didn't know what to do. When the history of the Jonathan presidency is going to be told, yes, you will find that quite a number of people used him. And I suspect that some of them actually went out of their way to push him along the wrong path.
Because people say there was just one gaffe after another.
The truth is, let's be honest with ourselves, yes, and let's call a spade a spade.
Yes.
The man is a nice man. I've never met him.
Everyone says that.
But his mien looks to me like
he's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman, and let me just be fair to him. He's done a noble thing by stepping aside. That for me, all his sins are forgiven. And let's just let him go.
Were you surprised that he called Buhari before Borno State results were announced?
The guy was on. They had locked him down. Don't you know the way it goes? He didn't have a choice.
You mean
there are more people that loads of people have a stake in what goes on in any country, and therefore they have their various ways. Remember what happened to Babangida when he was waffling and so on and so forth. At the appropriate time, they locked him down.
How does that happen? I'm trying to figure out how loyalties will just switch.
It's not loyalty. Yeah. Loyalty is not the stamping of feet and the saluting. It's in the mind. And there's some people who are loyal to their country, or rather would rather, let's just say loyal to their country, or they have an interest in a peaceful environment so they can continue with their normal businesses.
Yes.
If you saw the photograph in the papers today, he was sitting with Abdul Salami, he was sitting with Dangote and some others, and one reverend that they brought along. And you could see they were sitting in a small place. Yes. They were all squashed together.
Yes.
It was on lockdown. It's not a coup per se, but it's like at the last minute they look him in the eye. And they were smart enough, the way I saw it. Yeah. They didn't allow his aides, probably didn't even allow him any time to speak to his aides.
Yes.
They just have given him the phone that call him and just congratulate him. That's the best thing to do. Because the truth is, a lot of things could have been done in his name. Look at the incident Wole Soyinka told us about, that for 5 days after the Moroccans had called the ambassador, he didn't even know.
Yes.
I'm asking myself, didn't he read the papers? Doesn't he have breakfast with Ruben Abati every morning?
And analyze the papers?
Analyze the papers, because if I were president,
yes,
on my breakfast table every morning, my press...
all the newspapers.
All the newspapers are there. He's marked them for me. And I can see them. And I do that. That's your first job is to get a feel. The first thing the British Prime Minister does is to attend the Cobra meeting every day. I think it's 6 o'clock in the morning or so, or 7. Cobra meeting. And then I think from there, he probably would attend to his press person. So if for 5 days, for example, the Moroccan ambassador has been recalled, and the president doesn't know, that gives you an idea of what went down.
In 6 years.
In 6 years. More will come out. It's a pity our profession, journalism, has lost steam. I remember the good old days of the old Newswatch and Time. And tell and so on and so forth. The stories that would have been coming out this week, but all that is gone.
You think, those stories, the problem is no one knows what to believe now with social media.
Well, I also think that because of the business side of things, there's no money to fund those kind of operations anymore. Yes. The newspapers,
investigation costs money.
It costs money, and a lot of these printed whatever, they are now surviving on supplements and things. So you don't want to bite the fingers that feed you.
Yes.
So you'd rather just not go anywhere near that. I mean, in the past, we'd be rushing to get a copy of a magazine on Monday.
Yes.
And the Sunday papers. But that ain't gonna, the Americans say it ain't gonna happen.
Okay, so let's talk about the mistakes or alleged mistakes of the outgoing president now, Goodluck Jonathan. For a lot of people, they say that the journey downhill started with that problem in the Governors Forum when 16 became more than 19. When would you say you think
anybody who says that doesn't have a sense of history? The problem started from the very day he took office, his appointments. The moment people saw that he was somebody who was distributing appointments like candy, they must have moved in on him, dangled, and they saw his weaknesses. And so I think
do you think he didn't appear to have a grasp of of his surroundings, of the issues?
I'm absolutely sure that he didn't have a grasp. I mean, what we're doing now is we're analyzing. We're not. It's not. If a man doesn't have a grasp, he doesn't have a grasp.
No, but you see, I know people in political office. You do too. The minute you're elected, you go. They have all these little courses they run you through. You go for 2-3 hours. They put you through systems.
Should I sing one line of my favorite song?
Yes.
Book sense different from belly sense. You don't need to have a PhD to be a good leader. In the days of yore, the old Obas of Benin, the old Alakes of Abekuta, they ran their kingdoms pretty good. You go for all the courses in the world, come out with first class. It's the application that matters. And in the application therein comes, your how far, how discerning you are. And it's not to bring him down, really, but it's just not inclined in that area. We had them in school. Sometimes you have a nerd, he doesn't socialize, doesn't know how to dance, doesn't know how to talk to women, doesn't know how to talk to girls, don't do sports or whatever, but to be absolutely brilliant. You see, it's not everybody that can be a leader, and that's pretty obvious. If all of us were leaders, who would be the led? You have more of the led than leaders. Leaders they're like chosen ones, really. It's a gift of God. And if you don't, the most important thing you need to do is to find out if you have for instance, I can't play politics. I can't be a political leader. I can work in a military environment where they wake up one morning and say, Jimi Disu has been appointed this, and I go to work. I don't want to wake up and come out in my house and see shoes, slippers, bathroom slippers, because my constituents have come. I don't have the temperament. I don't even know how to handle it. I'm so outspoken. I can't be a politician at all. I can't even go near it. So what is most important is what Fela always told me, that a man must always know his limits. I think he went beyond his capability.
Do you think he should have actually sought for re-election in 2015?
By his own estimation, he should. But by our own estimation, he shouldn't, and that's why he failed. Look at the gap, 3-point-something million. And he was goaded. They kept pushing him. Even his body language, sometimes you could see that...
he was a bit fed up.
Did he campaign in 2011? He didn't. It was Obasanjo that did everything. Had he campaigned, did he debate in 2011?
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
And he won.
They shielded him, because if he had debated in 2011, he'd have been exposed.
Okay, we'll take our first break now. When we come back, I want us to start it from the point where people are saying that they blame General Obasanjo because of all the people who were available, the pool of resources from which the PDP could have gotten a presidential and vice presidential candidate at that time. Why did he settle for these two, Yaradua and Jonathan?
You want me to say it when we take a break?
When we come back.
When we come back, I'll then tell you the story that I heard.
Okay. Yes. Join us again after the break.
Who knows Abi better thing? Abi who no like better thing? All these fine things where they see so. Now money government they take do now. Abi, it's like, excuse me, I dey pay my tax. I dey do wetin? I dey pay my tax. Say you don't pay your own tax. Have you pay your tax?
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
Well, welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetumobi. On my hot seat today, veteran broadcaster Jimi Disu. And before we went on the break, I was telling you that, you know, in the days of, the dying days of Obasanjo, the PDP had a lot of people. We had the suave Donald Duke. We had Peter Odili, who had just finished governing Rivers State. We had all these vibrant people. General Obasanjo didn't pick any of them. He picked on Yaradua, and then he settled on Goodluck Jonathan, who no one had heard about. No one had seen his antecedents in Bayelsa State as his president and vice president. So some people say, all this we see should be placed squarely on Obasanjo's shoulders.
The way the primaries were going,
yes,
if the primaries had been free and fair, Odili would even have been the presidential candidate, because then people were not as discerning as now. The rumor then was that it brought in loads and loads and loads of money to spend and so on. But it then turned out that, from the story that I heard, the governors marched to his office and told him that, look, if you don't pick one of us as president and one of us as deputy, we will not support anybody else you pick. Now, everybody knows that the governors are the most powerful in any party.
Yes.
Okay, most powerful. Especially more so in the primaries. Obasanjo was then faced with a dilemma. And of all the northern governors, he probably thought that Yaradua was the most transparent. Because, to be honest with you, you remember then those set of governors, yes, all kinds of corrupt practices were ascribed to them. Yes. Whether they got rid of, whether these were proven or not, is another. But people on the streets know what they know. You know, there was one particularly who would get his allocation every month and head to the UK and come back 3 weeks later to collect another allocation. That's the way he went. So I think in Obasanjo's thinking, he said
he settled for the best,
who he thought was the most transparent. But he had health issues, and Obasanjo keeps saying that. He asked Yaradua, and tried to do some checks, and he was told that Yaradua was good to go. That yes, he had health challenges, but that he was okay. Now, that in itself, yes, I mean, sometimes you have challenges. I've seen people with cancer who are jumping around and so on. Obasanjo himself is seriously diabetic. Yes. But I mean, hey, he plays squash at 3 a.m. He's fit at his alleged age of 70, whatever. Nobody knows his age. So, right now to the deputy, which was what brought us for the deputy, he had to choose Ibori, Odili, Duke, Obongata, and Jonathan. Okay?
Those were the bigger boys.
Those were the big boys. Yes. Now, for obvious reasons, had he chosen Ibori, our president would have been in prison in the UK now as we speak. Yes. I think everybody knew what Ibori was up to, and that's been proven. There was a very strong suspicion that Odili was not too far from Ibori in that sense. Yes. Strong suspicion, not proven, but strong enough to not. I mean, let's face it, I don't know how many people actually would have voted on the outside. Yes. But those were the days when they used to grab ballot boxes. There were no card readers then.
Snatch boxes, yes.
Now, what I heard, very authentic source, was that the offer was actually made to Duke. Now, I don't know in what manner it was made. Was it a serious offer? Did anybody sit him down to say that, look, Duke, we'd like you to be vice president and so on and so forth? Yes. But what I heard Duke said was, I can't be vice to this. Maybe it was said off the cuff to him and it was recorded and taken back. But that he turned it down, as it were. So the lot now fell on Jonathan. Don't forget that when Alamisi had chosen him as deputy governor, he probably wanted somebody who wouldn't ruffle his feathers. And from what we heard, he didn't ruffle the feathers at all. He was even loyal to him as president, still to Alamisi as a guy, doing things like that. So that's how he came about. So Obasanjo he had no choice but to choose two governors. That was the strength of the governors. And he settled for those two. And that's why we found ourselves where we are today. But don't blame Obasanjo. What about we, the people? I mean, he contested against, I think, Ribadu. Ribadu and my good friend Fola would have been his vice president, who would have been a much better team than himself and Sambo. Because thank God we've gotten rid of them, because I don't know what a Sambo presidency too would have looked like.
Do you disagree about his achievements? You know, the touts, going into the elections, a lot of achievements were touted for him.
For Jonathan?
Yes, the trains.
I'm not going to vote for a president because he revived the railways. I mean, Angela, that's not what we are talking about. That's at that level.
Yes.
I mean, you're not even starting it, you're reviving it. What is reviving? Giving out contracts to buy the trains and lay the tracks. For claiming that as an achievement in itself, for me, it shows the level of seriousness attributed to governance at that level.
What would have been a serious achievement?
Serious achievement to be economic parameters would be, you know, forget about all this rebasing. These are things for the textbooks, really and truly. What have you done to improve the lives of your people? That's where it is.
In real terms.
In real terms. And he had this habit of attributing everything to his opponents. Nobody wants, you just want the job done.
Is it that people don't want excuses, or people actually want you to take responsibility?
They don't want you to take responsibility, they want the job done. If you're a parent and your child wakes up in the morning, he wants breakfast on his table. Now, if you can't give him cornflakes and egg and whatever, at least give him agoin beans and gari. He has to put something in his tummy. He wants to go to school. You have a child, he goes to school, you don't pay his school fees. He's going to sit on your neck. If you can't go to this school, send him to another school. So that's the way it is with governance. People they don't want excuses.
What about all those events that were going on? You know, the PDP Governors Forum, the 5 governors leaving the PDP, all that. Didn't that have an effect? Did it change people's perception of President Jonathan?
In any case, I think it completely decimated the look, a party that loses the likes of Saraki, Rotimi Amechi, and all these big cats.
You don't think Rotimi Amechi was a traitor, as most South people think?
Traitor to who? His wife wouldn't let the man rest. His wife wouldn't cut him slack. That's where the problem came from. His wife saw Rotimi as being under her own, it should be under her own supervision. Whereas the governor himself is not under the president's supervision. That's
why? Because she's from Rivers State?
Not because she's from Rivers State. She just felt a sense of that. Don't forget, let's be very honest with ourselves. Patience Jonathan saw herself as parallel president to the man. She didn't even respect him publicly. There's this famous photograph that we saw. He went on an official visit. She was greeting the third person while our friend was trying to find his way down the staircase.
Coming down the plane, on the tarmac.
From the tarmac, yes. I mean, so the problem with Rotimi Amechi started from a real domestic issue.
I think it was a loss to the PDP to let Amechi go.
Look, a governor of a state, of course, it's a big loss. It's a big state like Rivers, and that's his backyard. The other thing was also because the party just didn't allow internal democracy.
I thought people said that about APC, not about PDP.
Well, they said that APC too had the problem, and they're suffering for it now in their underbelly. They've lost a few seats in Lagos as we speak. Forget the Buhari presidency, they've suffered a lot in their underbelly. Who are the real actors in the game now at that level? These are young cats. They're not just going to sit back and say, days of having an Adedibu or somebody somewhere dictating
who's picking people.
It's not going to happen. These are guys who believe in equal rights and justice.
And now you've gone to Lagos. Do you think APC will suffer in Lagos?
They will suffer. They will suffer for it. I'm absolutely sure.
I mean, I thought.
I'm not saying they might lose.
I thought they have 2 weeks.
They've suffered for it already.
I thought they had 2 weeks.
The damage is done. Let me tell you.
5 rep seats lost.
Loss is a lot. And then you've lost it to quote and unquote now non-indigenous. For the first time in Lagos, have you ever heard of a party called Accord? I thought it was some local party in Ibadan. They have a seat in Lagos. Why? Because the gentleman who went to Accord
was cheated out in the primaries.
And is popular amongst his people. There is what we call people power now. And all the parties had better just learn that lesson.
Is this people power the result, a direct result from Jega's reforms, the PVC, the card reader?
The people, well, first of all, exactly, people have suddenly realized that their votes will count. But not just that, you have an insurgence of young people who are educated. You know, in our own time when we were growing up, you had to go to the UK to see what's happening. Now they can see Sky News, BBC, you know, they can see everything. You can find amongst the young people who can direct you through the streets of London and haven't been anywhere near there. I've seen it happen. You know, they know everything. They know the shops, they know, name it. They see the politics. And also because the economic times have been going from almost bad to worse, you find themselves, they found a lot of young people on the fringes of politics, hoping to grab whatever they can. And as they move on, they have higher aspirations. Nigeria is not going to be the same again.
After this election?
After this one, it's not going to be the same again. And politics will now be for intelligent people, people known in their community. There are going to be demands on them. If you give them money, they'll take it. It's not going to be
business as usual.
It's not going to be, if you give them money, they'll take it. That was shown in the primaries. The guy who spent the most money came third.
In the Lagos State primary?
No, in the primaries that produced Buhari, Atiku came third. It was said that he spent a fortune. Usually when he said things, it was said. Yes. Sometimes, you know. I mean, so
actually, it was 6 seats they lost in Lagos.
And that is a lot. And not from the Badagry, from the traditional Badagry area.
Yes, Amuwo, Jofin, and all those areas. Kirikiri, Satellite, Festac.
Yes. And also, you can see that this issue of indigenes is fading away gradually. One day you're going to have an Igbo governor in Lagos.
Join us again after the break.
Government wants our city to become a mega modern city. And so, government is providing modern markets for us to carry out our business. Now, this requires money. So, we need to pay our taxes to help government to help us. I pay my taxes. I hope you've paid yours.
Well, welcome back. My concluding moments now with Jimi Disu. And so, going into this election, especially the last 6 weeks, the postponement period, I thought the PDP would have used that period to gain momentum. Don't forget, before that postponement, it looked like the APC was running away with this election, and you know, that 6 weeks gave the PDP a breather of some sort. You know, but what did we see? Still campaigning not based on issues, horrible things being said, people being called brain dead, you know, people stoning, you know, and on things like that. And especially the Director General, I think, of the presidential campaign, Femi Fani-Kayode, you know, people were really appalled at the way he handled this campaign. In fact, many people say he's one of those responsible for losing votes for Mr. President.
I'm one of those many people. I said that. You see, that's what I said to you about President Jonathan in the first instance. Here's a gentleman who, for 1 or 2 years, had been on your neck. He called, insulted you, all the nasty things that I dare not say on TV. He had said to you. And then this is a gentleman who is not really, quote and unquote, respected by the public anyway. I can give you one simple example. A man of his age, background and stature, who goes out listing the woman he's had something to do with. Certainly it's not a man anybody is going to really respect, you know. You now appoint that same person, your spokesperson. I wonder what was working in President Jonathan's mind.
I think the whole idea was they wanted someone who would come out with guns blazing.
Look, you want to run an election. Rather than telling people what you want to do for them, the things you have to, first of all, you have the advantage of being an incumbent and saying the things that you had done and what you would do. From day one, you made your opponents the issue.
Some people said the PDP looked like the challenger.
They looked like, of course, they looked like, not only did they look like the challenger, they made him the issue and spent a larger part of the time. And then the campaign was so vicious. Let me be honest with you. I am glad President Jonathan did what he did by just and let it go. If this country had gone further and there was much more violence, people like Femi Fani-Kayode would have been dragged to the ICC for promoting hate amongst their people. I grew up with loads of friends, and you know, I told you before we started the program, I've never seen them as being anything but my friend.
No matter where they're from.
No matter where they're from. I have friends who are Buddhists, they're Christians, they're Muslims, and so on and so forth. You brought so much hate.
Yes, but you see, when you say he brought so much hate,
what
is new? It was the kind of hate he had been spewing about President Jonathan.
Exactly. I mean, these people like him, I make bold to say, really shouldn't be in the public space or domain. When he was doing that about Jonathan, most people ignored him.
Yeah.
And then a few cynical people have said he just wants to be appointed, and he got it right. And it's unfortunate that somebody of his educational background, I don't know what work he's ever done, apart from being a politician, but with educational and family background, would have gotten himself involved in so much hate, calling Amechi, saying that Amechi's father was a palm wine tapper, whilst his own father was moving. Okay, your father moved forward. What have you done with your own life? And I keep saying that there's no monopoly to all these things.
Yeah.
I know him. He's somebody I know fairly well. His elder brother is my friend. But the truth must be told.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to put a rein on people like him. And those around him, who they were urging him on from the background. But we know them. At the appropriate time, the history of this country will be well told. What do you get by promoting these things that you know you're doing for mischief? You know, before he was appointed, you talk about we, the Yorubas, are going to do this. Which Yorubas? What have you done for you? Who do they know you? What have you done? You understand? It's all like schoolboy talk, really and truly. And you see, I don't want to use a derogatory word, but I do remember that Professor Suni, of blessed memory, world-class psychiatrist, has said that you know there's a need to do these little tests for people who want to hold public office, just for you to be sure. Because you never know what drives them. Because Angela, sorry to cut you short, Angela, there is no amount of money you'd give me to do that kind of job. To go do a documentary on the man, on his dead daughter who passed away, to say that he married his daughter at the age of 9 and had been having carnal knowledge of the girl, or the woman as of the girl, if she was 9, and you know it was false, you wanted to tear him limb from limb.
Why was this campaign so vicious? What was
because it didn't have substance. We've been sitting down here, imagine if you have a debate with somebody and it doesn't have substance, it goes to abuse.
Yes.
If they had substance, they didn't know what to pick. What else would you have spoken about? They didn't know what to talk about. And they knew this man was tiring tall. They knew he was the exact opposite of what they were doing. Because what were the issues? The major issue involved, people voted for Buhari mainly, amongst other reasons, because they feel that he will curb corruption.
Yes.
And corruption on Jonathan's government side had gone completely haywire. It had gone completely haywire. Both the truth and the near truth, you were talking of figures that you just couldn't imagine. You talk about renovation of airports. Is that renovation of an airport? Okay, how much has been spent on it? You know, loads and loads. Yes. Name it. In the oil sector, you had a subsidy budget of 232 billion. It went up to 1.2 trillion. And somebody was signing that off.
Every time.
Unappropriated.
Yes.
He's lucky. What I hear is Buhari has said that the rot is so much that all he'll do is that from June 1st, he'll just draw a line and say
this is a new start.
This is a new start.
Yeah.
We can't.
There's no point chasing anyone from the past.
He's lucky. The corruption on that is unimaginable. It's unprecedented. He didn't seem to be checking anybody. When I saw that Buhari was was in the lead, I went to my room and I started crying.
Why?
Cry of relief. Close your eyes and imagine where you are sitting, that you'd have 4 more years of what you've had in the last 4 years. I can imagine, because you are successful, how many phone calls you get in the month, how many envelopes you have to give out every month. From people who, you get telephone calls from people who, when you hear them say they need this amount.
Yes, when you hear the story.
People who would say, Jimmy Joe, they send me maybe 2,000. You quickly see if you have 20, you give them. Like Yorubas will say, Melo la fe kan, no I want you.
And then, of course, you've talked about people the president has surrounded himself with. We can't but talk about the drama, you know, at the INEC Collation Center when Professor Jega was announcing the results, and the former Niger Delta minister, who was also representing the PDP as the agent.
Should I tell you this story? And it's true. It's true.
Yes.
It's very short. I saw the list of results on Sahara Reporters.
Right.
So as the numbers were tallying
with what Sahara Reporters had published,
had published, so I lost interest in following it
So because you realized they had the right thing.
That's the right thing.
Yeah.
So I then got a phone call. I was taking a snooze when I got a phone call, and they told me that, you know, Nigerians don't know how to relay news.
Yes.
Brother Jimmy, when the militants surround collation center, I jumped out of my skin. So I ran to my sitting room. Of course, the TV was on, and I saw Urubebe sitting on the floor. I never thought it was him. I thought that the militants had actually come probably armed.
Yes.
You know, that's the way your imagination
yes.
goes. And he was one sitting down and he was saying,
giving the orders.
Giving the orders, Jega should go home. And I had a dilemma. I was asking myself, these guys in suits, but they're supposed to be DSS people. What's this guy? So I sat back, and it took me about 20 minutes for me to realize that it was Urubebe. Then I shook my head in shame. I shook my head in shame.
So you missed the first part of the tantrum.
No, I saw the tantrums when
they were repeating
it. I saw it later, and really and truly, I felt extremely ashamed, because there's a very, very close friend of mine from the Niger Delta that is close to him.
Yeah.
So I know of him.
Yeah.
You know, Elder Urubebe, she respects him so much, and so on and so forth. So you know the way it goes. If you know somebody who knows, I felt so ashamed, and I felt frightened.
Why were you frightened?
I said to myself, this is a ploy to halt this process. Don't forget that all kinds of rumors had flown around. There's going to be a coup. There's going to be this. So I said to myself, is this a ploy? Look, the streets have been empty for 2 days. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. There was so much tension.
Is he acting out a script?
Acting out a script. So I was tense. And my phones were ringing, you know, and everybody was tense. Because, like I told you, I didn't even know it was when I knew it was Urubebe, I don't know whether I got more scared.
Yes.
But I just said to myself, well, if it's him, at least it's not who I thought he was. I thought he was one of the thug militants who, because he came with the suit and the bowler. I don't know why they keep wearing this bowler hat with everything. It looks okay, I think, when you wear it with your national attire, but putting it on everything makes me feel. So I was wondering, I said, I said in Yoruba, that this thing, I don't know where, why aren't these guys, they should throw him out. I didn't know it was Urubebe. He behaved far below what is expected of him.
Well, we understand that he has apologized.
He apologized. Oh, he apologized profusely. What I don't know is if he's written a letter. And he told young people, and I'm glad he specifically said that young people shouldn't follow his example, that he just got carried away.
Yes.
I think he'll be visiting Jega to apologize.
In the cold light of day.
Cold light to him. But another thing that happened,
Fadile, Colonel Bello Fadile.
Who should have been in it? He works in the NSA's office.
Everyone was surprised. Is he a
partisan? He works in the, we have a current situation on our hands with the Boko Haram and so on and so forth. What was he doing there returning? You had so many officials of the PDP. And then, listen to this. Your principal puts a call through and congratulated the other guy. And then you do this drama and say you refuse. That is why I said the president isn't in control of those around him. There is no way as president. An election has been held. I've congratulated the other guy. I'm going to be calling everybody hold your rein. Let him take the victory. Right now, if we're going to protest, if we have any forms of protest, let's compile it. For the sake of history, we can take it to a tribunal. That is the mark of a statesman. So what would have been a statesmanly act was truncated by what?
Urubebe did.
Because not Urubebe, Fadile, by not signing
the result sheet.
The result sheet. The principal has come. Why would you sign the result sheet? It still boils down to this current Nigerian behavior. He said he wanted to send a petition to Jega. You gave it to his ADC to give to him. Andela, is that how things are done? If you have a petition to send to INEC, you either send it through courier or through your dispatch man.
Yes.
It is signed for
by the commission secretary.
Documented by the commission secretary. At his level, he should know that. If at his level he doesn't know how to send a petition, and you now surreptitiously gave it to Jega's PA outside the environment of the office, it is going to go through a system. The secretary takes it in, it is stamped, they have a file for petition, it is received. There's a group of people who will look at it before they advise the chairman. There's a procedure. Did he want Jega to open the petition and act on it there and then? That's the kind of people that work for the president.
Well, I mean, it's a new dawn, Mr. Disu.
It's a new dawn, and the thrill for me is this. The major thrill is that Every politician now knows that it's not a function of godfatherism, and it's not a function of spending money that's going to get you re-elected.
Yes.
It is going to be based, of course, we know Fashola wouldn't have come out for a second term if he hadn't performed. Fashola and Ngige are the two first examples that we have. For every politician now, it's performance, performance, performance. That's what they're going to be judged by.
Thank you very much, Mr. Disu, for coming on the program. And of
Thank
course,
you.
we'll leave you now with images from Nigeria's 2015 presidential elections. Thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajitumobi.